Welcome to the Black Belt Parenting Podcast. My name's Kathy Sacoulas, and I'm going to be your host. This is our first episode, and I'm really excited to have you here. This has been a long journey for me. I've been wanting to do something like this for a really long time, and I finally got to it. And so here you are joining me, and I'm really happy to have you here. So just a little bit behind why we're doing the podcast and an introduction to Black Belt Parenting Podcast. It really is and has come from an idea that was born from a martial arts school that my husband and I own. And because I'm a martial arts instructor and a mother, I think it's really important to have a community of parents that come together for support and sort of to bounce ideas off of one another. So this podcast really was born out of that and out of already the conversations that I'm having with parents at the studio and in my life. So the podcast is not to give you advice on parenting per se from an expert. It's really to have the community come together and have open discussions about parenting, the challenges of it, the successes of it, and how we can do it better so that we have kids who grow into adults that are thriving in their satisfaction, fulfillment, as well as in their achievements. So just a little bit about me. I am a wife, a mom, a daughter, a martial arts instructor, and a business owner. It's been sort of an evolution of parenting for me, starting from when I was a nurse back in the 90s. I took care of little kids, and I kind of saw the importance of parenting. Later on, fast forward to becoming a martial arts instructor and seeing the importance of parenting in collusion with teaching. And then now, as a mom, I've seen it all culminate into how super important parenting is. For myself and my personal history, I'm the daughter of two immigrants. They came here in the 70s. Like many others, they came here looking for a better life. And in that pursuit, they came to America from the Philippines. I have an older sister who was born there. And so I was born here. I was raised in the 1980s, so you can say I'm a Generation Xer. And in that generation, and because my parents were immigrants and just working constantly to survive, we were kind of left to our own devices to raise ourselves. So we are the generation that was kind of latchkey and left behind. Fortunately for me, I have an older sister who's 5 years my senior, who kind of acted as my third parent. So my personal parenting for my own parents really was them teaching us how to be independent right away because we had to. There was no other option. My parents were working. They were working in the city, and the commute home was really long too. So they were gone for hours until maybe 6 o'clock at night. And so we had school, and then we were kind of left at home alone until that time. Even though they were so busy, they both had this philosophy that it was family first. So whenever there was any free time, they would spend it with us, and they would teach us valuable lessons on their values and the importance of being kind to others and the importance of family and the importance of really doing things to keep the family together. That was really just the focus of my father and my mother, was to make sure that the family was this cohesive unit. And even though they weren't there physically, I knew that they were always there to support me. And so I really had a really good base of unconditional love. I also have my older sister who kind of helped me navigate my youth, but she had to kind of deal with all of like the ups and downs and the learning curve of being a first generation American and my parents not being around. So I benefited a lot from her mistakes, my parents' mistakes with her. And that's sort of being a second child, right? And because she was older, she really took me under her wing and made sure that I was taken care of. And she's always had that motherly quality for me. So in fact, I've kind of had like three parents. And the recurring theme in my life is family. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, I have this undercurrent of unconditional love for my family. And it really created this space for me where I wanted to create that for myself as I got older. So creating my own family was sort of top of the list when I became an adult because I wanted to create what my parents and my sister had created for me. Fast forward to now, I have my own family, but that came after years of sort of, working, but always being around families. The philosophy that I've kind of created over time with my own parenting has come from my own family, my work experience, and then now more currently being a mom. And I'm in the throes of adolescence with my own kids now. So this podcast is coming at a really good time for me too, because it's all grown out of I don't really know anything. And parenting is really a course in learning day to day and having the humility to grow despite thinking, oh my gosh, I have it in the bag. Your kids are always there to show you that you don't. I hope that this podcast will give you space and grace, right? To be a parent, to make mistakes, to learn from them, and hopefully we can all grow together. So that's a little bit about me, why I created the podcast, and why I think it's important for other people to share this parenting experience together. The reason it's called Black Belt Parenting is because I'm a martial arts instructor. And so as a teacher of martial arts, I'm teaching life skills to kids through the vehicle of the martial arts. Martial arts to my husband and I has always just been a way to transform people's lives and their lifestyles, right? It's less about kicking and punching and more about the characteristics you develop through the vehicle of the martial arts. It's obvious, right, throughout my time as a teacher, which has been for almost 20 years now, that martial arts can help you become more resilient. And I've seen kids have higher self-esteem, develop their confidence, become stronger, become more sure of themselves, get bully-proof, achieve goals, get through obstacles, and become more resilient purely because of their training of the martial arts. And I think that meshes well and is very parallel to parenting. So I thought putting it together into this one podcast was really a great way to approach parenting. And all of the lessons that I've learned from watching families, having my own family, and then being raised by my own family as well. So putting that all together through all of the experiences can really come together with valuable lessons, right? So, and I hope to learn more. I obviously know and I understand through all of this that it takes great humility to be a parent. And my one thing for the podcast and the rules that I hope to create underlying this podcast is that it is a kind community, and that I hope that we all come together, not in judgment of one another, but through humility and grace. And we give each other grace to make mistakes and grow. And I hope that I give that to you. And I hope that you in turn can give that back to me and whoever I have on the podcast. So those are kind of like the ground rules for the podcast here, is that it's a judgment-free zone and it's a place to share ideas where not one idea is law, but where we can share things and hopefully glean things from other people so as to make our jobs as parents much easier. And to maybe find a common voice where we feel like, okay, I'm doing a great job. So if you're listening to this, it's obvious that you want to be a great parent, and you're probably already a great parent because you're listening and you want to do better. It's not something that comes naturally, and there's no school for parenting because obviously every child is different and they require different types of parenting. So that's the ground rules for the podcast. That's it, is that we're just free in our communication and there's no judgment from anywhere. Thank you for joining me for my first podcast, the Black Belt Parenting Podcast. For more information on how to follow this podcast, please check out the show notes for all our social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to Black Belt Parenting on whatever platform you're enjoying this on. I'm Kathy Sacoulas, and until next time, happy parenting.